Every structure we build, every empire we forge, is fighting a losing battle against physics. Given time, entropy turns the strongest stone to dust. Yet one specific configuration of information has survived intact for over 3,000 years, the phrase, "love your neighbor as yourself." This exact sequence of concepts has traversed millennia of handwritten records, passed from generation to generation without distortion. We usually categorize a statement like this as religious poetry, a moral guideline rather than a rule of nature. The observer-dependent theory of everything, or ODTO, treats this phrase as a literal mathematical equation governing the stability of consciousness. From this perspective, the commandment persists because it describes the specific regime required to maximize the survival of human existence. We begin by isolating the foundational variable in the equation, the self, or as the phrase puts it, as yourself. Under ODTOE, an observer cannot project a stable reality that they do not internally maintain. Internal coherence is a measurable state. When attentional focus and emotional intent reach 1 and internal contradiction drops to 0, they generate a positive belief value. If these variables collapse, the equation zeroes out. Internal chaos destroys the coherence required to constitute any target configuration. Internal alignment serves as a mandatory structural requirement for existing as an active force in the universe. The condition as yourself ensures the operator equation achieves a non-zero state before it attempts to interact with another loop. Once the self is stabilized, the equation connects that internal state to an external observer, the neighbor. In this framework, love is defined as inter-observer coherence. This requires an operator identity, treating the neighbor's reality matrix with the exact same focus and emotional alignment used to sustain your own. When two loops synchronize, the ODTOE lifetime equation shows their shared configuration escaping biological limits. As coherence reaches its maximum, the predicted survival time grows toward infinity. This synchronization allows a configuration to outlive the individual mortal observers who constituted it, creating a system that persists across time. This raises the question of how an internal state of coherence survives the physical death of its creators. It requires a material carrier. ODTOE calls this a coherence artifact, an object that records a cross-section of its creator's internal coherence. Written language functions as a code designed to expand an observer's loop into the minds of future readers, triggering the same resonance across generations. Monumental architecture encodes these same principles into space. The physical geometry creates spatial coherence that synchronizes with the observer's own internal dynamics. Scientific laws act as structural invariants, fixed points in reality that remain consistent regardless of who calculates them. When a modern observer interacts with these artifacts, their internal operators synchronize with the intent recorded by the original creator. This resonance creates a chain reaction. Every new reader resets the lifespan, preventing the artifact from decaying. These creations are bridges, allowing a mortal mind to trigger coherence in observers who have not yet been born. Not every creation survives. ODTO defines a strict law of degradation. If an artifact is too dependent on a narrow cultural context, it fails to generate resonance in new observers. Its coherence value drops, and the physical structure eventually decays. Survival is dictated by the depth of self-consistency an artifact encodes. Only the most consistent configurations can bridge the gap between epochs. These variables form a recursive cycle. An internally coherent observer creates an artifact, which sparks coherence in a new observer, repeating indefinitely. Eternity is the infinite extension of this collective world line, where the strange loop of one observer is carried forward by the next. As this coherence approaches unity, the configuration reaches a mathematical asymptote where time stops being a factor in survival. The commandment, "Love your neighbor as yourself," defines the exact operator parameters required to reach this state. It has persisted because it provides the specific instructions a configuration needs to survive its own creator.